What is up, Alien Army? I am Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore. And on this channel, we discuss everything out of this world. So today's topic is just going to be a podcast style, which means that there's not going to be anything for you to look at on the screen. And I don't know why I was guided to do this right now the way that it is, which is why it's a little bit rushed and there's not going to be like a visual video to this. But Jupiter came through and he wanted me just to get this message out there. So that's how we roll up in this motherfucker. That's what I'm doing. So Jupiter came through and he wanted me to talk about Pisces and Sagittarius. And Jupiter is the planet in astrology which is known as the guru or the great benefactor. I don't know if that's how you say it, but you know what I mean. And he's just basically thought of as being the planet of good fortune and abundance and all of that jazz. So Jupiter came through and he wants me to speak a little bit about his archaic connections to the signs of Pisces and Sagittarius. So VEDIC astrology, if you are familiar with that, utilizes the planet Jupiter as being the governor of both Pisces and Sagittarius, because before the planet Neptune was discovered and put into astrology, Jupiter was the governor of Pisces as well as Sagittarius. So these two are both mutable signs, and mutable in astrology basically equates to changeable, malleable, moldable, sways easily. It's not set in stone. Whereas the cardinal signs like to push energy forward and fixed signs like to just stay in one place. Mutable can go wherever the wind blows, basically, for lack of better words. So we're going to talk about the mutable water sign of Pisces and the mutable fire sign of Sagittarius, because these are the two which Jupiter governs archaically. So the similarities betwixt these two zodiac signs is that they are eternal optimists. Now, I know that this is more equated to Sagittarius, but Pisces as well is a sign of the eternal optimist in an emotional sense, whereas Sagittarius would be eternal optimist in terms of vigor and wanting to move with vital life force energy in their physical external realm. Pisces is the eternal optimist in terms of their internal realm in regards to their emotions. That is why Pisces can have the reputation of the sign that likes to see things through the lens of the rose-tinted spectacle. That's not really associated too much with Sagittarius, because when Neptune came in, it sort of gave this illusionist feel to the Piscean energy, whereas Jupiter is just in its raw strength and power. Jupiter, over the governance of Pisces, is optimistic emotions. Okay, so we are talking about in terms of Jupiter archaically. Now, I'm not saying that Neptune has no bearing on the sign of Pisces, because I do find that Neptune is very relevant with this sign as well. But Neptune is really the graduation from the energy of Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. So Neptune is more of a magician type, where Jupiter is more of just a gravitational type. So Neptune is actually taking the optimism and turning it into something else in the form of alchemy, and Jupiter is simply just, it bees abundance. Okay, it bees. That's what it is. It's not trying to transmute one to the other like the alchemist magician of Neptune. Jupiter is more in the governance of Pisces. It's just flamboyantly optimistic emotions. So that's where it can maybe be a little confusing, because the planets of Neptune and Jupiter, they are different in those ways which I just mentioned. But if we want to break it down to the root where astrology comes from, you know, is that Pisces was originally governed by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the OG of optimistic emotions, whereas Neptune wants to take that energy of optimistic emotions and create from the elements that it has present in its material realm. So it's sort of Neptune is more of a shapeshifter in terms of Pisces, whereas Jupiter is more of just a set point of emotional optimism. So with the sign of Sagittarius, Jupiter is obviously, he's very well acquainted with Sagittarius, as he is the governor in Vedic astrology as well as the Western tropical zodiac. So Jupiter in this aspect of Sagittarius, this is the look at me, I'm gravity, I don't need to do anything, just my way of being is going to draw opportunities to me, because Sagittarius energy from that Jupiter spirit is going to be along the lines of unstoppable life force energy. There's going to be complete optimism, and it can be headstrong, not in the sense of an Aries or a Leo energy where it's still that dynamic confidence, knowing what it wants, but it's more relaxed about it. It's more laid back because of the mutable energy. So Jupiter is not bulldozing its way in the sign of Sagittarius. The governance sign, not if your Jupiter is in Sagittarius. I'm talking about Jupiter's governance over the sign of Sagittarius. His influence is not a bulldozer type of energy with like Mars and Aries, and it's not like a fixed set point sun where it is actively seeking to be sought out. Jupiter energy with the fire sign of Sagittarius is more along the lines of, I'm just going to be me and dance along this obstacle course, and I will form my own whirlwind of a vortex and magnetize all things in my physical realm experience that are going to enhance my life force energy in the 3D realm. So I'm just going by straight channel right now. I'm not even going to remember what I said immediately before this. So yeah, but that's basically the difference of Jupiter with Sagittarius compared to the other fire signs, which are more headstrong. Jupiter is headstrong because it is unstoppable life force energy, always want to expand, and it governs the 9th house, with travel. So this can be travel maybe physically, but this can also be to travel in the sense of astral travel or channeling or other different types of dimensions, right? It's all types of travel, but it's more in terms of learning from the outside where that one is traveling to, be it a physical place or a plane of existence or another dimension. So it's always going to want to pick and choose the things that it can learn from its traveling experience. So the term psychonaut actually comes to mind when I'm thinking of 9th house energy with Sagittarius and Jupiter. It's just because Sagittarius is associated with philosophy and things like that. So this is going to be more along the lines of someone's interactions and their belief systems that are going on the 3D plane. So they're going to want to be at a huge buffet and just pick and choose, taste everything and see what works for them. And if they don't like it, they spit it back out and they move on to the next thing. They're not really focused on trying to change the taste in their mouth. They'd rather just spit it out and then move on to the next thing they can chew on. That was a weird metaphor, but that's how we roll. So that's really how Jupiter energy is going to be expressed in the fire sign of Sagittarius and 9th house. So Jupiter energy, if we want to take it into the 12th house now with the archaic definition and governance system, all of that, in the 12th house, Jupiter, now this house is known as the house of hidden enemies and prisons and asylums, and it kind of got a bad reputation. But with Jupiter here, this is really bestowing an energetic performance of wanting to delve deeper into the psyche where most others might not dare to traipse. So if you think of the things that I just mentioned, you know, hidden enemies can be the part of the psyche of oneself that they have yet to explore, and it remains hidden to them, which is why they might perceive something like that as an enemy, because it's simply the shadow and it hasn't been acknowledged. Does that mean that it's necessarily negative? Absolutely not. Does it mean it's overly positive? Absolutely not. But it's more of the ambiguous nature of the mutable houses where anything can go, because remember that changeable quality of mutable energy. It's more self-discovery in terms of emotional depths in the psyche, the 12th house, because it's going into the deeper sector of the emotions, like the root, or like if you want to think of like the basement level, the crypt of the emotional depths. That is where Jupiter comes in to bestow the luck. Even though you might think the 12th house sounds like a pretty scary motherfucker, Jupiter, if we want to go back archaically, if Jupiter is really the prime OG governor of this house because of the sign of Pisces, then we can look at it as not being afraid and open and accepting to anything that one might discover inside the realm of the 12th house, like what's lurking in the shadows. Someone with that Jupiterian influence is going to want to explore further into the psyche, the parts that might have fucking cobwebs on them and shit. Like, it's okay, it'll dust it off and it'll examine it and be like, that wasn't so bad after all. That's Jupiterian energy with Pisces 12th house shit. It's abundance and benevolence in emotions, but it's also the energy of not being afraid to explore further. Because remember, if Jupiter is known stereotypically as the guru is someone who really guides the seeker into exploring deeper aspects of themselves, which is why we have the 9th house with all the qualities that I just mentioned that I don't really remember what the fuck I said in this moment, and the 12th house as well. Like, I don't remember exactly what I said, but that is how the guru is going to express itself. 9th house, 12th house, that's what it's doing. Explore your physical realm domain, see what belief systems you picked up there. 12th house is going to be more explore your inner realm and see how certain belief systems got there inside your emotions. And you know, we all know that the emotions, the water element with Pisces 12th house is subconscious mind, right? That equates to emotions, and that is where you're going to do some self-exploration in terms of psychological questions that you might have had arise in your experience. So that's really how Jupiter is going to bestow luck and abundance with these placements here. And as I said in the beginning, just to recap, is that Jupiter is mutable energy, Pisces water mutable, Sagittarius fire mutable. So this is very changeable. This is very adaptable to the outer surroundings. This is not running into something with an already formed, fixed, stubborn opinion. This is not trying to push forward with cardinal opinion, trying to change what they find in there. This is adapting and allowing what they find in that self-discovery, be it physical with the fire or emotional with the water. They are really tapping into things. They're not going into something with a premeditated expectation, and they're not leaving with any expectation either because of the mutable quality. It's just there, this looks interesting, let me go and see what I find, and then they take it from there. And if they want to adjust their own belief systems or how they conduct themselves in the physical realm, or if they want to let a shadow aspect of themselves be brought into light with the 12th house energy and their emotions, and they feel free to do that. But it's not really a binding contract, because Jupiter has conveyed to me, I've channeled both of these guys, Jupiter is the antithesis of the sign of Saturn. Whereas Saturn is contracts that bind, Jupiter is no bind. It's no commitment. Okay, that's really what it is. Jupiterian energy compared to Saturnian energy. Saturn is commitment. I bind you to this. I hold you to this agreement. Jupiter is like, what agreement? We don't do agreements here. What the fuck? That's Jupiter energy. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you, Lord Jupiter. Don't know why he wanted me to get this out there, but this message is for someone, because if it wasn't, then I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you fine folks. That's what I got for you today. I am Oculus, the alien next door. We will chit chat again soon.